Hi, I'm Sally Kirkman from sallykirkman.com, and I'm here with Christina Rodenbeck from oxfordastrologer.com, and we're here to talk to you about the star sign Cancer, magical Cancer.
Oh, that's a nice thing to say.
Well, when I think of Cancer, I think of the moon.
Yes.
You know, the moon is the planetary body that's affiliated to Cancer, and it's magical. The light of the magical moon, it waxes and wanes.
And so do the moods of Cancer, may I say.
I was about to say the same. Ebb and flow. I mean, Cancerians, bless, emotional.
Very, very sensitive. I think it's really one of the most sensitive signs. I mean, really, really very, very sensitive.
Yeah.
And takes Cancer takes things to heart.
Yeah. And takes everything incredibly personally.
Yeah. Including, and the good side of this is, of course, you take things to heart, which means that you take people to your heart, and small animals and plants and things. You can take things to heart. The downside of that is that you take something to heart which was just flippantly not meant, so it's important for Cancerians. One of the things about being a Cancer that you have to learn is how to discriminate between what is really aimed at you and what is just not.
Yeah, I think it's kind of to do with that. The moon reflects, doesn't it? It's the reflection of the moon, so everything kind of comes back to Cancer. There is, I often think there's again, it's a sign for me that's quite innocent. There's this sort of gullibility about Cancer as well. They take things on. There's this reflection that goes on, this back and forthness.
Yeah, I agree about the gullible, actually. And that is actually quite sweet. There's a sweetness about Cancer that is just adorable and cuddly. And Cancerians will, as children and into adulthood, learn to develop a shell, some protective. They have to have some ways of protecting themselves, and quite often that's humor. They can be, I think they're really funny, or seeing the kind of bizarreness of life, or they may be very creative. I mean, many artists are Cancerians, and like visual artists, because a lot of they come out of Gemini. It's the sign after Gemini, ruled by the moon, and Gemini is the sign of words. And Cancer can sometimes, although there are many good writers who are Cancerians, but Cancerians can sometimes express things incredibly well in a nonverbal way. So you get Cancerian filmmakers or artists.
Yeah, I think it's one of the star signs that's really linked to images. I mean, Neptune, modern planet. Before Neptune, it was the moon, which is this imaginary aspect of the moon, images, visual. They really appreciate being around beauty, I find, Cancerians. And I think home and family, we've got to talk about that with Cancer.
Yeah.
Because it is such, I know Cancerians who say, that's not me at all. I'm not like that. I don't get on with family, or,
I know lots of Cancers who never had children.
Yeah.
And this is one of the signs. It's a sign that is actually associated with motherhood.
Yes.
With motherhood and mothers.
Yeah.
But when that happens, that doesn't mean that you have to be a mother, right? That's not how it works. That's not how astrology works. It's not literal like that.
Yeah.
But it is a nurturing sign.
Yeah.
And if you're not mothering children, it might be something else. I mean, I do know Cancers who don't like children, because they want to be the child. They want to be the one looked after.
Yeah.
It's not that they want to go looking after people. So, it can sometimes work that Cancerians like to be babied, frankly.
But I would also say I know Cancerians who are fantastic parents.
And who have tons of kids.
Yeah, have tons of kids, loads of kids. They want a big clan. They want to constantly have, family around them. And their children are the be-all and the end-all of their lives, really. So, I mean, that is also archetypal Cancer.
But that's what's interesting about that's the archetypal Cancer. That's the using the sun in a particular way. But we don't always go through with our archetypes, do we, in astrology?
No, we
can sometimes not. And like I said, I know plenty of Cancers who've never had kids and don't actually want them.
Yeah.
Because it's not how they work. It is a sign it's tribal, though, isn't it?
Very, yeah. And that's a key part of Cancer as well. I think that tribal, you know, somewhere in life as well, that there's got to be a connection to where I belong for Cancer.
Yeah.
Whether it's, you know, your country or your tribe. Yeah, very much so. I think that's a really key part of Cancer. They want to belong to something or somewhere.
They want to belong emotionally.
Yeah.
Don't they?
Yeah.
And it can be a tribe like, you know, I'm whatever, I'm a punk from, you know, and that's what I've done ever since, whatever, that's my tribe. Or it can be a tribe as in, this is my nation, you know. But yes, there's a sense of tribal belonging or the creation of a tribe. And it depends what angle of, you know, Cancer you're working. What's the shadow?
They can't stop crying. That's what I want to say. I mean, sometimes they just fall apart. They fall apart, and it's quite hard being around a Cancerian who's just sort of, they can sometimes really wallow in emotions, and they just can't get out of their emotional state. And there's only so much kind of buoying up you can do, and it's going to be all right. And sometimes they just, you know, it's a complete meltdown. That's one of the things I would say.
Yeah, I think so. I think I mean, what old-fashioned word, but one would say neurotic. Okay. Very neurotic sometimes about and very stuck in emotional patterns that are not healthy. And I think that if you're a Cancerian, that's a question you ask yourself: are my emotional patterns healthy? Yeah. You know, or are they harming me? Yeah. That I'm going round and round and round and round worrying at these things.
And also I think the other thing for me is sometimes they can cling on too long to things.
Yes.
They're great hoarders, but they sometimes that means they can't let go. They're sort of maybe stuck in the past or holding on to things and find it hard to let go and initiate what's new and move forward.
Well. I mean, I have to say that I find Cancerian houses are some of the most easy to spot, because actually you go into, first of all, these are palaces of memory. This is the sign that's associated with memory. So you go into a Cancerian house and everything has got a story. Everything has emotional meaning. So actually you were saying that they respond to beauty. They do respond to beauty well, but really the thing has to have emotional meaning. It doesn't matter if it's an old shoelace stuck to the wall, or you know, a Botticelli. It doesn't matter as long as it has an emotional, as long as it brings emotions out. I want to say sentimental. Yeah, it has sentimental value. And on that note, I think we say thank you and bye, Cancer. Bye, Cancer.